Okay, here we
There you go.
are. Pause this. Okay, great. All right, we're live. This is the first ever episode of a new podcast with myself, Jeremy Bourne, and Paul Jenkins, creators over here at Bitcoin Origins, NFT Genius. This new podcast is something that we're really passionate about. It's called NFT Sessions. The reason we're creating this is because we want to give artists in this space, whether you're a musician, an artist, or, composer, it doesn't really matter. Anybody who's coming to this NFT space right now is really important and is really here early. They're helping define the future of the space. And we want to give these artists a platform to be able to speak about their experiences, why they're in this space, and why they believe, like we do, that NFTs are the evolution of how we're going to communicate not only with our fans, but consume digital content and experiences. So with that said, our first guest ever for episode 1 of NFT Sessions is Stefan Mathis. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's
All
correct.
right. Also known as Too Much Lag. Too Much Lag, incredible artist, does some incredible 3D stuff. We're going to go through this in a little bit here, but want to get to know him, his backstory. He's got this huge Nifty Gateway drop. Congratulations, man. That is not easy to get chosen to be a Nifty Gateway artist, but this Thursday, what is that? 3/8? No, 3.
It's like 2 days from now.
March 4th or something.
March
March
4th,
4th.
yeah.
He's going to have his debut on Nifty Gateway, and it's going to be huge. I guarantee you this guy's going to sell out. The stuff is amazing. So with that said, let's get into it. Stefan, what's going on, man?
Thanks a lot, Jeremy. It's all good here. Bit anxious, but yeah, excited. Very excited to be here.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
Paul
you
as
better get
well.
used to like the superstardom, man. Don't be nervous anymore. Like we're going to break you in a little bit. But yeah, here with Paul. Paul, so everybody knows. I mean, once again, I come from crypto. I've been in crypto since like 2016, didn't listen to the friend in 2014. I've done analytics and cool stuff, and then got into the NFT space with our first project, Bitcoin Origins, which is a wild success over on the Wax blockchain. And now we're kind of expanding our wings a little bit and working with some of the best artists out there. But Paul is an incredible guy on our team that, is leading a lot of the creative and story. So Paul, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself, but your background lends well to kind of why we're having this conversation, why artists to us are really important and giving them a platform to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I've been in this business for quite some time. I'll date myself more than the white beard now because I started as one of the first employees of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in Massachusetts. And suddenly the thing exploded. And the next thing I knew, I was working at Marvel. I created the origin of Wolverine for Marvel. I've done a lot of work in comics, a lot of work in game design, a lot of work in new media, film, television. I happen to be a guy that crosses all media. And so one of the things that does is that brings me into contact with other creators. And from the beginning of my career, one of the things you have to understand about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is that we were fully owned and operated by the two people that created it, Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. So I have always been a mentor to creators, someone who's creator friendly and understanding, how creators work. So the way that this series will work for Jeremy and I is that Jeremy has his background in crypto and cryptocurrency and technology. I also have a background in technology to some extent, but it's all in like storytelling and art through technology. So we'll approach it from two ways, because as we start talking to Stefan and other people, it'll be what's the creative side of it, but how does this pertain to cryptocurrency and the blockchain and NFTs? There's so much to be brought forward. So Stefan, I'm going to kick us off a little bit because I want to start by saying this. I see lots of different content. I see it all over the place. And your stuff is fantastic, man. It is so full of depth and so vibrant and it has so much life in it. And what you tend to see is that creators come out in their art, right? So what was it that made you say, okay, this is the way I'm going? Like, how long has it taken you to perfect the styles that you've started working on? What was it that got you interested in, especially in like your use of color in the way that you constructed your characters and art?
Thanks a lot for the question, Paul. Actually, like I started this project, Too Much Lag, last year, about a year ago, but I've been doing 3D for around 7-8 years now. Before I was working as like freelance, sort of like motion graphic designer, more like standard agency studio job. And then with COVID, I decided to jump the gun and start this Instagram page and start working more of a personal project and try to express some of the inspiration that I get from stuff I like. So mostly my inspiration comes from like video games, movies, fantasy books. I'm a big fan of like Dungeons and Dragons, all these like adventure books where you have options, where you can choose what happens to the story. I like a lot like video games that are like role-playing games rather than like Candy Crush game where you just like are spamming buttons. I like more like story-based and adventure-based stuff. And I think you can see some of that in the work that I do. But regarding the work itself, like the use of color and stuff, I don't really think about it too much. I'm feeling like I'm getting closer to thinking about it. Like now that with NFT especially, I sit down and I actually think, okay, what do I want to do? What's the message I want to bring with the pieces? When I started it, especially with Instagram, you know, people trying to chase like getting out there, being on the map. So some of the work was approached initially as I just need to make something that looks good, gets a bunch of likes and gets the word around. But eventually I realized there was empty content. You know, I was just trying to make something to make noise, and it's not what I wanted anymore. So slowly I started shifting towards, okay, what can I tell here? Well, what can I bring to the space? What can I do to make it more interesting? You know, and I just wing it.
Well, I mean, you know, that speaks to the fact that, you know, for me as a creator, like one of the things that people don't understand about creating is that you got to be bold, right? You got to have some audacity, right? And what people think audacity is big stuff that explodes. And that's not what's bold or brave. What's brave is maybe being quiet sometimes, or saying, hey man, this is a big color choice, but I'm just going for it, right? Like you bring a piece of yourself out. So that's one thing that I admire about your art, right? Which is, you know, you're obviously bringing a piece of you out and saying, this is what I want to do. And I don't really care about anybody's opinion. Sure you do. You care about their opinion. But man,
definitely, yeah.
Because you bring a piece of yourself, that's what actually expresses itself on your art, you know?
It's so true, man. Yeah. I mean, like once I reached out to you, I think on Instagram, like first time I saw you, it was just something that I haven't seen before. Like, yeah, there's a lot of 3D artists, but I mean, conceptually your designs and I mean, your mind is just wild, you know what I mean? And it's something that we appreciate, right? Because we're always trying to push the boundaries in our own projects of what's possible in the NFT space and giving new experiences. And Paul's probably going to bring it up right now. But as going through your stuff, I mean, give us an idea of like maybe the process, like how do you create this stuff conceptually first and then maybe execution even? Because I'm sure there's a lot of artists here that would love to figure out like how do you even make this stuff? Maybe what tech do you use? How do you approach this?
Yeah, that's very it's a very good question. I think the answer might be disappointing, but what I do is it's usually like, especially like this, the archer that Paul is sharing. For example, this is it's made with Cinema 4D, so 3D software. The render engine is Octane Render. Just to put the software out there. The clothes come from the clothes are simulated in an external software. It's called Marvelous Designer. So it's just a clothes sim software, and then I just try to, I don't know. I don't sketch it. I do know like drawing beforehand. On bigger projects, I do it. On like story and animations, I do it because it's necessary to build a strong storyline. But for these ones that like are called like everydays or whatever you want to call it, they're inspired from people and a lot of other artists on the platform. If I name them, I'll be here forever. But I can tell you about my inspiration later. But yeah, the pieces I approach them, I just open the software and I just start messing around with it really. And then something piques my interest and I take it from there. Maybe I'll start messing around with a bow and then I'll be like, oh, I could do an archer today. And then I just go from there. Or like the one.
This one here. Yeah, this one.
Yeah, that one. The one you had opened here, this Harlequin. This is a collaboration with a fantastic girl. She's super great, which is Malavida. She's a 2D artist, mostly 2D. She plays with color. She has a mastery of color. She's so good. And we did this piece together. So I created all the 3D. I did the concept of the pose, and then she helped me. She helped me frame it better. She has a way more experience than me in what I would call like the fine art and making things look pretty. I'm a bit more chaotic, but it turned out really nice. I really like that.
Yeah, here's another one that I
this
just,
one's I know this
one
one spoke
just
to
really
me too.
struck me. Yeah, you know why it struck me is because one of the things that I think that you do a lot is there's a lot of depth to your stuff, and I think you're probably just blowing out the background or doing like using like the focal point of the camera as such as it is. So I think this one particularly struck me. It's just like really dynamic. It's got a lot going on.
That one has an animation somewhere on the page. I
was going to say, show the good stuff, man. Show the animations. These things are wild.
You'd have to scroll down a lot.
I'll scroll down a lot. Let's see if we can find it. Yeah. But I mean, look at the depth of your work, man. You've been obviously really busy and this stuff is incredible. There's one or two of these that I found that like really quickly became my favorites. Actually, one in particular, which I'll address with you in a bit. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this one especially, I thought that was pretty cool. That's just a great pose and a really nice kind of piece, How long
really
ago was this one? When was this one done?
I would have to check, to be honest. I think
we can probably see November. Actually, it says we put it up.
November. There you go. November.
Okay. Yeah.
These pieces, most of these pieces are done quite quickly, except the one where it's like a bigger project. Like I can show you which one it is. There's that one. If you keep scrolling, that one with the purple haired guy.
Yeah, this guy.
That's a series of like each row is a music video that I did for this Brazilian trap artist. That one's much bigger project, so that one took a bit longer. But otherwise, the pieces are on Instagram, especially they're done quite quick. I'm talking
cool.
Go
to that video.
We'll find that video in a second because that video is fantastic. Yeah. I don't know if it's at the beginning, so I'm navigating the page as we go.
Find any video, man. I mean, show these people what you can do.
Let me show you one of my favorites, right? Because I just thought it's not a long video, but actually, so it's this one, Stefan. I think this one is fantastic because
thanks a lot.
It's cool. Very much like a central piece, and it does a particular thing that I'm very much in love with, which is you've got the thing that your eyes focus on, which is the triangle, right?
Yeah.
But as it explains in the thing, this is through some of your personal stuff and things that were your struggles. And so, to some extent, you've thrown to the sides. You've just thrown like pieces and feelings and stuff like that. And this little eternal journey that never ends just seems like a fantastic choice of things to do. So this was one of my favorites. It may not be the most complicated one, but it's what was the meaning behind this one? What made you think of this and
this one? It's my Nifty drop. It's one of the pieces of my Nifty drop.
Nice.
And this one is actually quite complicated. Not super complicated, but a little bit complex. Like the character in the middle it's sculpted. There's some resemblance with me, and it's based on Dante's book, The Divine Comedy. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's like an autobiography, and it's inspired by some of those elements. So this is sort of like me walking through the dark forest and getting ready to dive into hell and what comes with it, and it's basically me amidst the journey of my life at a point where I can start to comprehend and redeem some of the mistakes that I've done and like how to become a better person and how to move forward. And I don't know, it's just trying to put together some of my experiences with some of my passions. So the vibe, it's a bit like video gamey, you could say. So there's some aspect of that, like the sword. Why there's a sword? Why does he have a huge book? That thing that it's on the back that you can really tell what it is from here. It's like supposed to be sort of a shield, but it's also a book. And in my interpretation, this is the book of my knowledge. So what I'm learning through life. So I'm carrying the weight of the information that I gather through my journey. And the weapon is just a way of like saying I have a way to fight back through life and the difficulties of it. And on the weapon, you can't see it from here, but on the weapon, it's written in ancient runes, mother, which is like my mom, although she's been very, she's not even aware this exists, but in a way, she gave me strength through life, through the simplicity of her action. And it gets very personal down there, but there's a lot of like depth to it, but at the same time, I want it to be something that you can just look at it without knowing anything and be like, oh, this is quite cool. I don't know if that works, if that's the effect, but that's sort of like what's behind it, you know.
This is amazing. And go ahead, Paul.
I was going to say, I think it's always the effect, because ultimately art is subjective. And, I learned a long time ago that perhaps I might write a poem about my cat, and someone would read it and say, wow, that was the funniest poem I've ever read. And I'm like, we're supposed to be a tragedy, right?
Yeah, that's true.
people will see what they see in your stuff. For those who are not familiar, Dante Alighieri wrote, the Divine Comedy. Most people would recognize it as Dante's Inferno, so it's his journey through the circles of hell. But I mean, it can be personal to an artist like it is to you. It can mean something different to other people, but that doesn't matter, because they use the art the way that they want to, I think.
Exactly. Like I invite people to take my concept, because what's behind it is my concept, but to take it and transform it to their head. Like let them imagine what is their journey, what is what they are fighting with, what they're proud of, like having overcome. And I think it's very cool if someone can take someone else's work that is so deep and so personal and just transform it and use it in his own view and apply to his own life. It can become really, really inspiring and really, really cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul, can you make it a little bit bigger? It'd be cool.
I wish I could actually, but I think that the way that Instagram seems to work on a computer screen is it drops it right in here, and then it won't resize. I worked with that, but unfortunately, we're going to look at this size as it is, unless perhaps I can go in like this, and I don't know if that makes it bigger, does it?
Yeah, and you zoom it in a little bit. Yeah. I mean, these are so incredible. I mean, like Stefan, like, wow, congratulations, man. I mean, obviously for a Nifty Gateway launch. There's been some really cool stuff, but I mean, it's like this futuristic vibe at the same time as like something to where you're like, something that speaks to Paul, right? Is he's been telling stories, whether it's in video games or comics or whatever the case may be, for the last like 20 plus years, and he's done it with some of the biggest and best. So to be able to give, like I said, artists like yourself, this platform to be able to understand that these pieces, like they may never hear the backstory behind like why this piece was created or exists, but like we personally feel in our mission to be able to help tell those stories behind the art and why it actually makes sense, because it's so deep. And I think as people have a more personal connection to those stories, I think the art will be more meaningful and they're going to want to inherently collect them more. So for us, that's a mission that I think we're hopefully fulfilling now.
Yeah, it's the in the end, whether you like it or not, whether anybody likes it or not, it is the story, right? Every piece of art is an expression of the feeling that you have, and so that's your story. And so people don't always associate art with story, but what you're doing here is like showing people what you're thinking, what you're feeling. In this particular case, obviously the crypto community and especially us, because we do Bitcoin Origins, would be interested in where this one was coming from, because you got the Bitcoin in here. And so what's this one about?
That one's a bit crazy. But to go back just a little bit, and I come to this in a sec, I was just gonna say I'm honored to be here, like talking to you guys and Paul. Like it's such an honor to be talking with someone that has such an experience on his back and such accomplishment. So that I mean, I just need to say it quickly. And to come back to this piece, this piece is mad. Like I worked on this piece with my roommate, which is upstairs, which is he's a musician and he's quite nerdy as I am. He's a coder. He likes to code and likes mathematics. So sometimes we throw ideas at each other. We have this project together called Fibo Noir, which is a music project, music visual project that we were building back in like 2017 that we paused because life. But it's there and it's kicking in now. And with this piece, I was creating this piece to like celebrate Bitcoin and like the achievements that we were getting in the past months. Like this was, I think, November, December last year when it was ramping up again after a long bear time. And we were really happy, obviously, because like I've been in crypto for a while now. So Bitcoin going up, bull run is good news. So this was a piece to celebrate that. And then we were sleep deprived, 5 a.m., something like that. Me and my roommate are throwing ideas at each other, and he can do smart contracts, and he's teaching me some of that, and we're messing with it now. So when we looked at his piece and I had the Bitcoin flipping, he looked at it, and the idea behind it of like doing this crazy stuff is totally his, and the credit needs to go to him. He just joked about it, and he was like, "Why don't you put a real Bitcoin in it?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "Why don't we put a whole fucking a whole Bitcoin in it?" And
please swear, we encourage it.
I was like, just put a Bitcoin in it. And I was like, wait, is this actually possible? How does this work? So we went through the thing, and I remember we were eating food, and we had a third roommate, and the other roommate was sort of like looking at each other, and we were just firing up this thing, and we just ran upstairs and started working on it the same day, and we worked like 5 days straight with like no sleep.
Sounds like Paul.
So like, you know, when you get into that flow, it's like, this is this crazy idea, we need to do it right away, you know, someone's gonna do it before us, and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden we realized, wait, I actually have to put a Bitcoin in it. That's kind of expensive, and I had some crypto, but I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't in the position of being like, oh hey, yeah, put a Bitcoin in it, it's fine, if I lose it, who cares? I was actually freaking out. I was like, okay, wait, this is like all the money I have. Is this safe? Like, can people steal it from me? So we ran a lot of tests. We figured out what the best way was, and we made it so bulletproof that we renounced ownership of the contract. So when we published it, we couldn't change it. There was no way for us to retrieve the Bitcoin except with the mechanic intended, which was you had to burn the piece. So the owner, what's behind this piece is, it's a dynamic piece. It's a dynamic contract NFT. So it means the contract has two states. There's this one and a red one. I don't know if you can tap the right arrow, it should show you the second state, I think. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And basically from the first state has the Bitcoin in it, a full Bitcoin, and it still has it inside of it. I don't own it anymore because I sold it, but the Bitcoin is still there. So until the Bitcoin is inside the piece is showing state one. All of these have sound, obviously, which are quite eerie, and they add to it, but it will mess up the stream. But so yeah, the first piece has the Bitcoin inside of it. It's staying there forever, self-owned, and then actually owned by who owns it at that time in their wallet. So who owns it has the possibility to burn the piece. By burning the piece, they retrieve the Bitcoin automatically. So one wrapped Bitcoin gets sent to their wallet, and the piece changes to state two and send his own token to himself. So it stacks himself into his contract, which is a bit mindfucky.
That's crazy.
But basically it becomes unowned forever. And so
you know what you are, man. You're Banksy. You're doing a Banksy, right? You're gonna, break it. I love it.
No, man, Banksy gives you nothing at the end. It just shreds it, and you're like, oh
Banksy
shit,
shreds
what did I
do?
Yeah, at least you get a Bitcoin out of it.
Even crazier, yeah, even crazier. I really like humble. We just did it for fun, and then after a while we realized, okay, the idea is quite powerful because it's sort of like a play on like, do you take the art? Do you take the money? And like the collector that has it right now has it in state one. So the Bitcoin is still inside of it, which sort of like states, I care more about the piece than the money, giving a lot of value to the piece. So we put this quote that's ars longa vita brevis, which is like in Latin, like art is forever, life is short. So yeah, it became really powerful after, and it's sort of like we went along with it.
Well, that's a very familiar theme to Jeremy and I, because we're working on the Bitcoin Origins project. And one of the messages that has been clearly coming out of that project is that, you have the journey and you have the destination, right? So if you think that the destination in this is the Bitcoin, then that's what you get. You get one Bitcoin, right? But you lose the piece that you had on the journey, which is, the first state of this. So, man, I think it's genius. I think it's great. And it speaks to us.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
So, Stefan, I know you don't have a lot of time. One of the things I want to cover that I think a lot of people would be interested in as well is like, Nifty Gateway is the holy grail for an artist to get to, right? And you're seeing like people making millions of dollars. I mean, like these guys like 17-year-old Vicious coming on there and like selling for $3 million. I mean, it's life changing. So you have this opportunity now coming up on Thursday as you have your first Nifty Gateway drop. Maybe tell some other artists like how you got into this. Like, you know, was it just a stroke of good luck, an intro? Like, as an artist, like, how can they position themselves to also have the opportunity to participate at Nifty and maybe some of the other ones that maybe you participated on as well? Because there's some incredible platforms out there, and it's not just about Nifty Gateway just because it makes the most money. Maybe that's why it's on the radar, but there's some great stuff out there. So anything you can share on that side of things, I think would be really helpful.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. That's a very good point. And that's a point that I get a lot, like, especially now that people have announced the drop and it's out there. My DMs are flooded with people asking me like, can you hook me in? Can you get me a way in? And just to state it out there, I can't. Like, there's no way for me to do this. I suggested people, and I keep doing that, but that's as far as I can go for now. So how did it happen? I have no idea. First of all, like I need to say this. Like, I tend to be a lot less about the money than other people might be. So I look at the platform as a place where finally artists are getting a recognition. Finally, people that have struggled a lot and have been looked down at for ages now have an opportunity to say, fuck it, my work is actually worth something. Because ultimately people are buying it. It's not just you put it on Nifty and then this machine spits out money for you. It's actually people. So Nifty is an interfacer. It's a huge spotlight. It puts you on stage, and then people are buying it. Obviously, we can debate this and say, okay, some people are just pressing buy because it's a good investment opportunity to flip it. That happens everywhere. But some people actually are there to support the artist. And this is something I want to put there. And congratulations to all the artists that are doing the million, as you say, and like Ferocious is smashing it and very deserved. So congratulations to them. What I want to say is how this happened, like little backstory. I started NFT in like October, if I'm not wrong, around October. I was at a computer looking for crypto. I actually saw NFTs like 3 years ago, and it's sort of like, you know, when it just passes by and you're like, oh, it must be another shitcoin coming up or some stuff. I just don't have time for this right now. And then in hindsight, I'm like, why have I not taken the time? It's like CryptoPunks. I saw CryptoPunks ages ago when they were worth pennies. And then we were like, this is going to be some sort of like scam system. Who cares? And then now I'm like, okay, maybe I should have paused for a minute and actually purchase one, you know? But yeah, to go back to it, it's I started in October, and I saw this NFT popping up, and financially I'm still like, I spend a lot in art back now, like basically everything I make, I buy back from other artists because it's just, I can't resist doing it. I don't know why. It's just mental, probably not very, very good advice, but I was financially quite struggling. So as soon as I saw NFT, and I was like, oh, wow, you can actually sell the pieces like prints, you know? Okay, let's do it. So I found out Rarible first, the yellow website. So yeah. I found Rarible first. It was an open platform. I had no clue whatsoever about what I was doing, but I had wallets ready already. And my roommate, to mention him again, because he is very important in all of this, he was like, yeah, just use your wallet and apparently you can mint and then it's there on the blockchain forever. And we were like, oh, this is fucking cool. And it's crypto and it's art. Let's do it. So I started putting my pieces up on Rarible, but I was putting them up. I mean, like 10 a day. Okay. And
oh, wow.
Because I wasn't thinking about scarcity. I wasn't thinking about anything. I made some some like, not like limited, but higher numbers, like 10, 6, 5. And then I put them there and I put ridiculous prices. Okay. I'm talking about like $15. Okay. $30. So I was almost spending, like, gas fees back in October were a bit less, like $5, $10. But I was like, okay, if the fee is 15, I'll put like 5 times. I'll make 4 times back. That sounds a good investment to me. So, so I put up a few pieces out, some of my favorite pieces, actually. I put them straight away. And then slowly I sort of like entered the Twitter ecosystem, and I was like, oh, wow, there is a whole world out here that I've completely missed out. So I need to do my quick lectures here. So I went through the system and stuff, found about Super Rare and Nifty, other premium platform at the time, probably still. Then tried to figure out how Rarible actually worked, got approached by some collectors. And then I realized, okay, maybe I need to slow down, do my homework and understand what's going on. So I burned most of the edition that were high numbers, like the 10 and stuff. I burned all of them that were unsold. So some people copped some of these pieces for like $10 and they have a 1-1 or like a 2-2.
That's crazy.
A lot of people that cop pieces of me from Rarible, and I'm so grateful for every one of them. And I'm so happy they took the work for that price, because those people helped me pursue this. So I'm so grateful for them. And I thank you as much as I can. Some of my best work, even 1-1s, best at the time, because I think the best is yet to come, I hope. Took some of these pieces for super cheap. And then from Rarible, I was like, okay, there's platforms that are sort of like gatekeeped. Okay. So there's a filter at some point, because Rarible is there's a lot in Rarible. Okay. It's still very valuable. I'm not shading Rarible by any means, but I'm just saying Rarible is more open. There's a lot of stuff. If you wanna be sort of like maybe curated or maybe seen in a different light, there's other platforms that do other stuff. So I looked into Super Rare and I was like, okay, Super Rare seems interesting. I vibe with it. I'm gonna apply for it. So I applied for it, and back then they didn't have as many applications, like nowhere near as application that they have now. And I got a reply in like 2 weeks, and I made the cut. Don't ask me why. I have no idea. My Twitter looked half decent. Like it looked like I was sort of like a creative. My Instagram was where it's at, and I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. I just applied. I made a video with my face, which was one of the first video I've ever done out of this house, because I'm really camera shy. I hate all of this, but I'm doing it because it's probably necessary. And so you're taking my this is my first live stream ever. So you've taken that 1-1
Nice.
from me, and yeah, so I got accepted, and I was like, wow, this is cool. And obviously I was seeing, I'm not going to be naive. I was seeing the prices on Super Rare being a lot higher than on Rarible. And I was like, okay, this is quite interesting. So maybe here I tried to pick a bit better what I mint. So I tried to mint one. I started with one of my favorite pieces, which is Primal Element. So if on Instagram you got the right at the top, or that one on the left, that little go down, the guy floating on the blue background. Left.
Which one are we doing? So this one here, yeah.
That one, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, this
so
one.
That was here is cropped because it's in the real format. It's cropped, but these are my super rare pieces, and that one was really special to me. I really like how that turned out. Super random that day. I just put materials on, and I was like, oh wow, this looks really cool. I
think it's crazy.
I'm sticking with it, and I put it there, and I remember selling it for 10 Ether, and I was like,
wow.
Okay. I was shocked. I was like, okay, wait, what? And back then Ether wasn't like what it's now. It was like the wholesale was around $4,000. So Ether was around $400. And I was like, wow, this is a lot of money for me. And for one piece, like, and I'm not selling the rights here. I'm selling the piece, like a signed copy of the piece. I'm selling a limited edition of my work, a work I really cherish a lot. And someone is paying for it, and someone is getting emotionally attached to it, because then I connected to the collector, and the collector showed a lot of passion for it. And this blew my mind, because I studied law in uni. Like I come from a completely opposite background. I always been sort of like sketchy of people saying, yo, I'm an artist. I'm like, well, you're buffoon to me, because like if you say I'm an artist, maybe you're not really an artist. Like I like people that don't even say, I think everyone is an artist. If you're a chef, you're an artist. If you're a farmer, you're an artist, because whatever you do, if you create stuff, you're an artist. So even a businessman is an artist, because if you find a way to trick people into giving you money with, not trick necessarily in a shady way, just sort of like explain your concept and create stuff, create content, you're creating stuff. So you are an artist in a way. So if everyone is an artist, no one is an artist, right? So I like, I'm a bit like, I'm always like, people say, oh, you're such an amazing artist. I just say, I don't know, man. I'm like, I'm just a person. I'm winging through it. And
just do what you love, man.
It's
clear. It's clear.
I'm going to interject a few things in here. So you said a couple of the pieces that are right, man. So one thing that is always true, you said like the best is yet to come. And what that means is, an artist, someone that's making stuff, if you think that you have arrived, if you think you have arrived creatively, I always say this, then you have. That's as far as you can go, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you say, I got it now, it's like, yeah, you got it. That's as far as you can go. But you're saying the right things, which is, it's like whatever's next, right? Whatever's next to be super valuable, and then whatever's after that. You can't be satisfied. And I think you're right. Like, I believe that there's an equation to people. And I was just talking about this with somebody today. When you make stuff, and especially when you make it for a living, you got three things. Is it the attention that you love? Is it the creativity that you love? Or is it the money you love? And which part of it, So for me, it was, I could care less about attention, and I got loads of it, in the work that I've done, but I don't care. That's zero to me. It used to be when I was younger that 5% was money and 95% was creativity. Now I have 2 children and I'm married, so I have like 20% money and 80% creativity. If you were to come up with the equation, be honest, right? What do you think it is? How much of it is attention? How much of it is money? How much of it is creative for you?
Okay, so this is a very good question. And probably the first time I actually tried to put this into words, so it might come off very wrong. But to be 100% honest, I think attention is probably 0, as you said. Maybe not 0, because I think absolutes are a mistake. So let's say 1%.
1, right? That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, let's say 1%. And then right now, money is a huge step until I switch a flick. It's like I need money to create, because money allows you. We're unfortunately still, we live in a society where money is a filter. Money is like a bottleneck on your flow of what you can do. And my vision of like the world and how stuff should be done is a very long topic here, but it's very different from where we are now. And I think my contribution can be a lot greater rather than just pretty pictures. So in my head, I need money to fuel the projects that I would love to fuel. So like giving back through meaningful applications, decentralized apps, all of that needs funding, needs money that I've never had in my life. And I've always I've been a mess my whole life. I studied law, then I went back to art. So I've always been like the guy sleeping on the floor. It's always been a bit of that, and I don't share any of this because I'm not the peaceful guy going through like, oh yeah, I'm suffering too. I need a hand. Fuck that, I'll take my hand. But money is what gives you the power to speak in a meaningful way and get listened to. So the only time I need money is until I can say, okay, money is not a filter anymore. And then from that is 100% creativity. I feel like money is just a step of like, take the weight off my shoulder. I don't have to worry about food on the table. Now I can put all the money to work. Like, I don't want to accumulate money. That's a ridiculous concept for me. Like the idea of wealth is just nonsense for me. Like, my dad's a businessman. He came from like he didn't even do middle school. So his instruction and like his knowledge is very limited, but his hunger for like trying to make it has always been huge. So I grew up with this like business monster of like very few rules. Let's make money so I can give food to my children, right? And that was his idea. His love for us. I have 2 brothers, so for us, it's always been through money. Like, look what I bought for you. Like, not bought like cosmetics or like material stuff, but like I built the house on my back, and then this is for you. And that's like showing he loves me, maybe. And then I say, hey, look at what I'm doing, and he doesn't even look because he doesn't care, it's very hard to understand. But when I was a kid, I was suffering from this, but when you grow out of it, you understand how this mechanic works. And like, okay, he doesn't have the means to communicate properly. This is him showing affection, and talking about money is showing affection, because money has always been for him a way out. And that gives me an understanding of like, I don't want money for me to be a way out. I want creative projects and like emotion to be a way out. So I want to bring in people joy and like try to make the world a better place, if like, to put in a simple word, but
Stefan.
through
go ahead, finish your thought.
Through like cool projects, creative projects, like empowering people who don't have a voice, giving back and like giving power, like spreading the power, you know. And it's like, give people a chance, you know. And like, if I ever make money, and if I ever make money, because who knows, I always say, even the drop of Nifty, I'm like, it's the website probably gonna explode tomorrow, because there's no way I can drop a Nifty, like it's not gonna happen, you know. And maybe I'm jinxing, I don't know, but like I can't even believe it, you know. I'm like so grateful. And then for me, like this wealth that it might come is just going back into creating more that allows, but not more that allows me to be better, more that allows everyone to be better, more that allows what's surrounding me to be better, because ultimately that's where my happiness comes from. If I'm winning but everyone around me is losing, I don't give a shit that I'm winning. I feel like shit. Like I worry about the last one and I'm like, well, dude, you need to come with me, like let's do it, just get out of bed, we can do this, you know. I'm more like that. And yeah,
it's amazing, man. Like seriously, Stefan, like I'm gonna chime in here and just say, first of all, really appreciate you opening up. Like you said, this is your first live stream, so stuff is like coming out that you probably didn't assume would come out. And I've been through that before, being on podcasts before too. But this is like the main reason why we wanted to create this, is like you launch on Nifty, you launch on Maker's Place, or Rarible. It's like nobody can understand like what you've gone through as an artist to get to this point. And this is, once again, we want to tell these stories. You're a deep guy, right? You think about the world in a very unique way, differently than a lot of people. And I think it's beautiful. And I think it translates obviously directly into your art. And I think hopefully this story creates a lot more meaning behind people that want to come purchase what you're selling on Nifty Gateway, you know, coming up here, or anything else you do thereafter. And I think that's something that's really important. So thank you for sharing that. I know you don't have a lot of time today, so I want to respect that. Because I know you're focused on this drop, and it's got to be perfect, and you got to pray, you know, the gods or whatever you need to do to make sure it goes off without a hitch. But seriously, we appreciate you coming on here and talking about this. You know, we obviously love to stay in touch, and you know, obviously you and I have been talking about doing some collaboration anyway. But yeah, on my end, you're the man. We're huge fans.
Thanks a lot,
everybody
man.
Go to Nifty Gateway. And check out Stefan's stuff over on, I think, March 4th, which is this Thursday. Paul, you have anything else before we sign off?
I would say this. I'm going to echo what Jeremy said, because he took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say the same thing. For your first stream, man, you nailed it. If you're talking about yourself. And I know that artists, true artists, I know you said it's very pretentious to kind of describe yourself as an artist. So I'm going to say creator, right?
Okay, yeah, I like that.
Creators are honest. Right? If you're honest, then you create well. And you said the things, and you're putting it into what you do. You know, I've always tried to do that, make sure that I'm talking about myself for an audience, right? Mm-hmm. And so you've done it, you've nailed it. And I know you said like, if I got high expectation, man, I know that when people will see this, they will get you what I think you deserve, and that will give you the means to make more. And if there was any reason to really support you, it'd be, I want you to make more of this stuff, because this stuff is fantastic.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It actually means a lot. I appreciate that a lot, Paul and
cool.
Jeremy. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again, Stefan. Everybody, Stefan, where can they find you? Is it best on Instagram, Twitter?
I think these days. Yeah, I think these days Twitter, like I try to push Instagram a lot, but actually I think Twitter is probably the best, because from Twitter you can find everything. So it's Too Much Lag. On Twitter is Too Much Lag, TOOMUCHLAG. And then there's a little underscore, because Twitter doesn't want to give me my handle. But yeah, on Instagram, Twitter, whatever, Too Much Lag, you'll probably find me.
Nice. Well, thank you again, Stefan. We're looking forward to your drop, and obviously everything else that you're going to come out with here in the near future.
Same.
Everybody, thanks for following us. This is the first of many between myself and Paul. This is NFT Sessions. We'll see you again next Tuesday.